All right, so today will be our showcase presentation on our project Smart Home System. So firstly, let's just go through a introduction of all of the team members and sponsors in our group. So firstly, for me, my name is Eric Lay. My positions in the team are product manager and team leader. So I basically managed the team, did all of the Zen Hub, creating all of the assignments and just making sure that the team was doing its job.
I'm Alex Nigh. My position was development manager, so I kept track of our GitHub and kept track of the assignments that the developers were working on. Our first developer is Shenzhen. His main contribution was web page design, so he went through with CSS and HTML and created what we had drawn up on whiteboards. Tianrui is a second developer. He worked along with Shenzhen to make the website look good. Our third developer is Tyreesh. His main focus was the backend, so using JavaScript to tie in all the components. And Emily, her main focus was the database. We have a database for data collection of IoT sensors. And Dr. Wolf and Imagine Colorado are our two sponsors. Imagine Colorado is kind of a secondary sponsor. This was a faculty project.
So for technologies that we were using in this particular project, so we had particular devices. So we had, so our whole thing about this particular project was creating scenarios in order to help people in homes that needed help. So with instructions, so there were particular several devices we were using for this. So one of the things was this Samsung Smart Hub, which allows us to connect IoT devices. So we're using a lot of IoT devices such as like door sensors, motion sensors, and light sensors in order to create these very dynamic instructions and scenarios to help out people in different types of homes. And then in order to give instructions, we also have things such as the Amazon Echo. And then also to compass everything, we also need a smartphone in order to really connect all of these things together. So one of the main things that I was talking about are these particular scenarios. So one of the technologies that we are using is called a rules API. So a rules API is basically a JSON structure that gives the instructions for the Samsung Smart Hub in order to follow the instructions. So in the particular instructions here, you can see on your right with the name of control light, when the location mode changes, it has a lot of attributes. So we're checking for the mode. And then when the mode particularly changes, then we have changing the lights off or changing the lights on. So this can be encompassed in any other kind of ways too. So if you had a door sensor, if the door sensor is on, then you can tell the Amazon Alexa to then say, please do this. And then the second type of technology that we have was crucial because one of the major objectives for this project was that when these particular sensors activate, we would really like to know when they do it and how frequently do it and where they do it. So that requires us to do data collection. So one of the things in the SmartThings ecosystem is called a SmartThings Smart App, which basically just allows us to do two main things. Device integration, which just means that if you have a cloud connected device, then you can connect the cloud connected device, such as a door sensor that's not in the system, to become a part of the system and then to interact with the ecosystem. A second feature is automation. So basically what I was just talking about, the system always checking if a door is open or not, and then a speaker would then say something. So in this particular scenario of data collection, we were using the feature of automation. So it would constantly just, so the smart apps just constantly checks or if any type of sensor does any type of action, or is turned on, turned off, anything changes, if a water sensor becomes wet or it becomes dry and that kind of thing, then the smart apps would recognize, this particular app would recognize that and then collect that data and put it into a database.
So throughout this project, we learned a few lessons. Perhaps one of the biggest ones, and one that we struggled with initially, was communicating with all the parties involved. So our specific sponsor, Dr. Wolf, she's the head of the computer science engineering department. Consequently, she doesn't have a lot of time. So conventionally, Tinder Design meets with the sponsor once a week. However, in our case, due to her being so busy, we did most of our communication over email, which originally we struggled with, just kind of not having that in-person conversations, but also to regularly respond and to check and to just keep her updated, as, again, we were not seeing her on a weekly basis. Another thing that we had for an issue is our kind of secondary customer was Imagine Colorado, and they are located in Colorado. They also, again, they have a company, and they're very busy. So we had to email them, and we also implemented kind of bi-weekly video chats with them, just so they were on the same page as we were and that they understood our progress. Another lesson that we learned was figuring out the true customer. We presented on this for our special topics. So the reason that we kind of struggle with this is, again, like I said, we had Dr. Wolf, who was our primary sponsor, and then we had Imagine Colorado, who was a secondary customer. But then it turned out, as we went along with the project, that they were not going to be the ones actually using this product. The actual users would be homeowners, non-technical users, who would create scenarios to monitor patients. So we had to figure out how to design. Well, previously we designed it that it was meant for a technical user, and then as we kind of went along with the path, we figured out that we actually had to design a non-technical project. So a third lesson is provide documentation to the customer up front. That kind of goes in hand with the previous one, where if we provide documentation to them and kind of tell them what they're going to get, they can tell us if we're on the right path or the wrong path, to kind of guide us in the right direction, saying, oh, well, we actually think that this is going to be designed for a non-technical user and we're not going to be using it. Again, you get that feedback if you provide documentation to them. The last lesson is it's kind of a funny one. It's talk to developers of the technology that we're using. So we're using SmartThings. And originally in the fall semester we were developing, and we understood that we had a big part coming up and finishing the back end of our website. And it turned out that in upcoming months, so in later 2020, that the SmartThings app was going to be updated, and they're going to switch to the Rules API as opposed to what they were using before. So by communicating with them, we were able to figure out that we should be basing our new system on their new system, as opposed to piggybacking on something that will be obsolete in a few years. So just by communicating with them, we were able to figure out what kind of technology and where to go for our project.